Evening folks, hope everyone is well. So I had a question come in response to the video I did when I was investigating if the Korg Monologue would be a polyphonic MIDI controller. It's obviously it's a mono synth, but you know it'll transmit MIDI, and indeed it does act as a polyphonic MIDI controller, just like any MIDI controller does. Awesome. The question came in is, do the encoders essentially transmit MIDI as well? I mean, the question was about USB, but USB, MIDI, similar deal. So that's what we're investigating tonight. We've got the Monologue set up here, and I've got an instance of Surge in Reaper. The preset is called Endgame, and what we know is that although the Monologue is a mono synth, it's a polyphonic MIDI controller. So I can play those nice paddy chords. But the question was, essentially, do the encoders also work as to transmit MIDI messages, and this would be CC messages? The answer is yes, they do. So for example, I've just encoded the filter and the resonance of the hardware synth to the filter and resonance controls of Surge, which is cool. So it's cut off all the way down. So we can open and close the filter. Lovely stuff. Same with resonance. I've encoded the attack on this to the attack on the VCA envelope, sorry. So we're going to have very low attack, slow, very slow attack. There we go. Or very quick. And then one of my shape encoders on the synth controls, is it formant? This is very cool. Does the master work? Let's try the master. I haven't tried all the encoders, but it's, I mean, there's different. You could just say, oh, I don't care what the encoder is on the synth. I just want to control some parameters in my DAW. You could do that. Or the approach I've taken is try and map the synth parameters on the hardware synth to the software synth. So then, that kind of, makes sense. But yes, I'm just going to see if the volume. So I'm going to go into Reaper, right click on the volume, learn controller, waggle, waggle, waggle. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay. So it looks like I'm armed for MIDI. That's interesting. What about drive? Abort learner. Okay. Volume, learn MIDI. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So that works. So it appears that the volume, the master volume, doesn't transmit. That's interesting. I don't know if these buttons would transmit. What would be a sensible thing to test? What does this do? Oh, maybe the octaves. So Surge is a little bit complicated. Not sure. Oh, hang on. I don't know if these sort of ARP buttons necessarily transmit anything, or if they do, I've not set it up to do that. Yeah. So anyway, it works. So the Monologue, perfectly good MIDI controller. Don't have to use it with a synth. You could use it with anything that takes control messages. Bear in mind, obviously, we're not hearing the Monologue, so the more that you change, if you change stuff here and you also have the audio out of this, say, coming to the mixer and you're hearing both at the same time, obviously you're going to affect the Monologue patch as well. And just bear in mind that that filter can be a bit, on these analog instruments. So careful of your ears. I'm just going to set up a different synth and just test the MIDI over USB. Okay, so test 2, I've now got it all plumbed in with a USB cable instead of the DIN cable. Now, interestingly, Reaper gave me the option to sort of have MIDI input over USB from either the controllers or the keys. So it looks like it's splitting it into sort of two different sort of options. I'll just do a screenshot, but it's telling me, yeah, Korg int Monologue KBD stroke knob. So I've enabled the input and the control from that, but it also has another MIDI input for MIDI in. However, which is disabled in Reaper. However, it's still sending MIDI from the keys. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but that's fine. So it's working as so our keys is working as a MIDI controller. And again, like the previous example, I've encoded the resonance and the filter. There we go, it's the filter. Resonance. Nice. And my LFO rate to the LFO rate of the Korg as well. So there we go. So it works exactly the same over USB, yeah, as it would over the DIN cable, which is the Spider-Man cable in this example. So there we go. Let's call it a day here. The Korg Monologue. It's a polyphonic MIDI controller in terms of the keys, but also in terms of the encoders, and that makes a lot of sense. If why wouldn't Korg add CC transmit on its rotary encoders? Now, I don't think the Behringer synths do that. I think they're much more kind of analog affairs. So if you're thinking, can I do that with the Pro One or the Neutron? I mean, it's worth having a look. It's worth having a look, isn't it? But certainly, the Monologue can do that. So, nice little mono synth, very nice little polyphonic MIDI controller. All right, cheers, folks. See ya.